Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video, and for those of you joining me on YouTube, you're very welcome. I hope you're enjoying the videos that we're putting out this year, and for those of you on Patreon, you're obviously getting this as an early release video, and again, thank you so much for your support. If you've not yet checked out Patreon, then please do have a look at the link beneath the video. Your support is always welcome, and hopefully the mentoring and support that we give you is well worth a subscription to our Patreon channel. Today I want to show you a new Uncapper that we've received. So for complete transparency, this was provided to us free of charge, and we've been given it to try and test to see what we think of it, and it comes from the Bee Cooperative. If you go online, beecooperative.org, I'll put a link again in the description beneath the video. But I had a very interesting conversation, a very nice conversation with the inventors, designers, manufacturers and sellers of this Uncapper, Martin and Peter. And they talked me through how it works and gave me a quick demonstration. If you want to have a look at that conversation, because I recorded it on our Zoom channel, so pop over to Patreon, sign in and have a look at it there. We talked about how it works and the various methods of using it, and we've just been giving it a try. So we've had it for a couple of days now. This is our second day of using it, and we've had some excellent results with it. We've also had some results that haven't been quite so effective, and I'll talk about those shortly. But I guess first of all we need to just talk about the unit itself. So this is a Langstroth sized Uncapper. If you go to their website, I think originally it was called the National Uncapper, and you can see that it consists of two rollers with lots of discs on, and those are held in this, I guess it's polypropylene. I probably should have paid attention to the conversation that I had with Martin and Peter. Food grade plastic design. And if I turn it, well, let's first of all tell you that it's actually fitted to a clip-top box, and that if you're working from home as a backyard beekeeper, works really well. If you're doing quite a lot of uncapping, then I think fitting it to an uncapping tank is going to be a better option, and we have an uncapping tank tray that currently we have a brush uncapper on, and I think this will fit quite nicely on there as well. So I wanted to show it as it was received, and in talking to Martin and Peter, they said that lots of people are actually ordering, a lot of beekeepers are ordering it with the clip-top box, because actually you can disassemble it and keep everything together in the box, and the box actually works as a really good reservoir for the honey. So what have we got here? We've got the arm that holds it in place, and then it's bolted to this arm at the side and through the side of the box with two simple fixings. And then if I turn this around, hopefully you can see these rollers, and if I roll one, you'll see that the other one rolls at the same time. So they roll towards each other, and that's controlled at the end by these little rubber seals, and there are three settings. So we've got them at both ends, so there's one in front of me here, and you can see that we've got this seal here which goes on in a kind of a figure of 8 configuration, and you can have up to 3 of these seals on, and these work to create the tension to pull the rollers into each other and cut through the cappings. And so depending on how thick the comb is in your frame and how old it is, you might want to use 1, 2 or 3. I think the default is 2, so using 2 of these, which is what we've been using, seems to work really well. And it's the same at the other end, and if I can put these things on, then I think pretty much anyone can. I've now got very sticky fingers, but let's just twist and loop it on. Oh, that's just popped off. Stretch it over. Now, you can get these as replacements from the Bee Cooperative website as well, and I would recommend going to their website to get replacements if you should ever need them, because they're a specific type and size, and if you use different sizes then it might adjust that tension and you might think that actually it's not working properly, but you're just using the wrong seals, wrong bands. So we've got this set up currently for a 10 frame setup. If you're switching to 9 frames, we've got an adapter that fits in either side, and I'll show you that in a moment. But actually what we found in uncapping is that even with it set at the 10 frame setting, it cuts through the cappings really well, and where we're using a 9 frame super, because that's the setup that we have, it works really, really well. It cuts through the cappings. Here's one that I have already completed, and this was from a 9 frame super. So you can see that as you use the Uncapper, it slices through the cappings in the comb and opens up all of the cells, and the spacing on the discs is such that it will go through every single cell. So let's give you a demonstration of how this works. So here's one of our frames from a 9 frame super. You can see how thick it is, nicely capped on both sides, and well, let's just give it a go. So you place it between the 2 rollers and then simply push it down. I'm doing it slowly so you can see how it works. Push it all the way down. So that's now pushed all the way down. Grab it at the sides and lift it up. Fingers underneath the lugs helps. And then as we pull it up, you can see that it has cut through all of those cells. Now I know that some people want to just cut through the cappings and they don't want to kind of destroy the cells like this, but for me, as a commercial beekeeper, I don't mind. It helps drain the honey when it goes onto our carousel, and actually the bees repair this very, very quickly. Now I would rather it was like this than have to go back through for a double push and pull. So that's it. I mean, it is simple as that. So we can put that on the carousel. That's ready to go into our extractor. Let's get another one. So here's one that's not quite so deep. Let's just push this one through. Again, push down, lift slightly, fingers underneath the lugs, and then ease it back up again. And that is completely uncapped. We used it yesterday to good effect. If you've got combs like this, then you're onto a winner. It's a fantastic piece of equipment. Now, we had issues yesterday without any doubt at all. We ran into a few problems. So I had some friends helping out, and they're relatively new to beekeeping, not particularly familiar with things like old comb, granulation, and that kind of thing. We tried to put combs through that were in part full of granulated honey and in part had previously had some brood in them, and it really didn't work terribly well. It was really quite problematic. We can't extract granulated honey, so you wouldn't be using this with granulated honey. You may well find that you have some comb that has some older wax in it that maybe has had some brood in it, and that's where these rubber band side adjustments come in. You can put an additional band on so that you then have 3 bands on each side, and that increases the tension and the pressure that you get from the discs, and that will push in a lot more effectively. I mentioned about not wanting to break too far into the cells, and the guys have created these little adjusters, which again, remarkably simple concept. You push into the side, if I can lift this up with my hands, you push it into the side and it pops in between the 2 rollers, as simple as that, and then you use your thumb just to push it into the side, fingers, because I've got slippery fingers and thumbs, and that holds these rollers slightly further apart for where you've got frames with much thicker comb. So let me show you on the other side as well. So we'll just come across to this other side. So I have my adjuster here. I'm going to put it against the front roller, push that away from me. It then drops the separator, the spreader block, and traps it in against both of the rollers, and then you pull it in, just trying to pull this roller towards me to allow it to freely push in, and it's pushed in really nicely. It's as simple as that. It's a really effective way of moving these rollers further apart. So let's get one of our thicker frames again. So we've now got it spread for a 9 frame super, and let's see how well it works. Now we're still using 2 bands, so we've got our 2 rubber bands on each side. Lift it slightly, then fingers underneath, and what we have found is, well, look at that, that's done a fantastic job on this frame. But what we have found is that as you extract, as you do more of this uncapping, you get quite a lot of honey in the box, and that honey then acts as a counterweight for when you're trying to pull these out, push them in and pull them out. Let me do another one, and so these are slightly thinner. Let's go with this one. It's not too bad. So if we push this one down, not too far to one side, there we go, push it down. So as I lift this up, as I try to lift it up, the box is lifting off the table, but that's because there's tension holding this frame back in. What I'm doing is leaning my hands on the side of the uncapper and then pulling it up. But once you get more honey and wax, what little wax goes into the box in the box, so it acts as a counterweight. And you can see here, it's done a fantastic job in just going through the cells without breaking further and deeper into the cells on both sides. And it's a really, really clever piece of kit. I know there's lots of different uncappers out there. We've used many in the past. And I think where you've got your spring or summer honey crop and you've got it straight off the hive and you've brought it home and you can extract it straight away, this works fantastically well. We've had these supers in our warm room, keeping the honey nice and warm, ready to extract. I've also tried it with some that we brought out and left out of the warm room. And when the honey is cold, it's a little bit more difficult to pull it around between the rollers because the honey kind of grips hold of the discs. So I would say get it home, extract it through this as quickly as you can. But it's been fantastic, and it's as quick, if not quicker, than anything else that we've used. Let me do another one in real time and we'll see, hopefully demonstrate just how easy it is. You can see that it's lifting up, but that's it. We've uncapped and we're ready to go. And we use a Carl Fritz brush uncapper as well. And one of the issues that we have with that is that when the brush takes the cappings off, they become really, really fine particles of wax that tend to gum up all of our strainers. And so we're constantly having to scrape them out. It works really well as a piece of equipment, but it does gum up the strainers. In this, you tend not to get too much small particle wax coming through. You can see in the box that where it has broken off some of the wax, it tends to be large flakes of wax. So actually that can go through and float in our sump quite easily, and it doesn't clog things up quite so much. Let's do one more, because honestly, so here's an interesting one. We've got a little bit of a wave forming in this particular comb. So let's see how it handles this. But when you start using it, you'll just want to keep using it. So let's push this down and see how well it does. Lift, fingers underneath, pull it up. It's almost got through to this section, but it might not have cut through the cappings there. So how can you resolve that? Well, one of the tips that I was given by Martin and Peter is that if you angle the frame slightly away from you, it will put more pressure on the side that's facing the camera, and then if you pull it up and angle it slightly towards you, it will put more pressure on the side facing you, and that's now cut through pretty much all the way into the cell. I've only had this for a couple of days now, and we've only used it in anger for maybe one half of that day. So it takes a little bit of practice, but if you put it in at an angle, we'll do it again, you can see that that was pointing towards the camera. Pull it up again, that's now got all the way through. And that's ready to go into our extractor. So there we are, the Langstroth version of the Bee Cooperative National Uncapper. They're available on the beecooperative.org website, and I think you really need to take a look at it because it's a fantastic piece of kit. It's self-contained. If you get it with the box, it's going to work really, really well for you. And honestly, I think now we will switch to using this for the rest of our extraction this year. My thanks to Martin and Peter for sending me this sample to try out. You're not getting it back because I think it's a fantastic piece of equipment. If you'd like to take a look at their website, the link is beneath the video. If you'd like to see more of our videos, then do take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/Norfolk Honey. But if not, we'll catch up next time. Thanks for watching.